Welcome, welcome. Coach Aubrey here, and I am going to go over some open Q&A today. So if you get value from this, like and subscribe because this is going to be part one of part two. So I am going to be releasing part two, hopefully tomorrow, if not the next day. So if you subscribe, you'll get a notification for when that pops up. Now, where I got these questions from is my Facebook group. I've got a women's Facebook group called Mind and Body Sculpting. And it's open to any woman who wants to join. There's no charge or anything. So just know that these questions came from ladies in the group. I did a poll there and I asked them, what are your biggest struggles or what do you want to learn more about? Because I love giving free information in the group. So I gave them 4 categories. And what most people voted on was number 1, training, and then nutrition, and then mindset were the top 3. We did get a question on rest and recovery, so I threw that in there as well. But I'm going to let you know what the questions are that I'm going to go over today, and then I'll give you a little sneak peek at the end to what the questions are going to be for part 2. And I am going to throw in a little mindset today, a little bonus, because I think it's going to be so imperative to go over with the training. And so the questions from today are tricks for getting workouts in on a busy schedule, how to train when you have a physically demanding job, love that question, how to use rest/recovery days properly, including active rest days, and especially when it comes to prep, and then how to incorporate stretching. Tools for fighting, this was the mindset one I wanted to throw in here. Tools for fighting through depression when it tells you you don't have the energy or desire to exercise at all. Love that. All right, so I don't have notes. If you guys know me, you know I really go off the cuff here and I just share my knowledge. So if you want to dig deeper and get even more resources and you're a woman, go ahead. If you're not already friends with me on Facebook, go ahead and send me a request. It's just Aubrey Whitley is my name on there. And I'll add you to the women's group because we're all about inspiring. I love to give out free information. And a lot of times I'll go live in the group and just do open Q&A. So whoever wants to ask questions can. We also have challenges, which is fun. So just want to throw that in there. Okay, let's start with the first one. Tricks for getting workouts in on a busy schedule. This might be you're a mom and you got a bunch of kids. This might be that your work is very demanding. So let's go over this real quick. What I want to say first is anything is better than nothing. A lot of times we get ourselves in that all or nothing thinking and we throw our activity out the window. We say, if we can't go for a whole hour, what's the point of going? When really, if you did 15 minutes a day for even 3 days a week, that's better than doing nothing. So that's the first thing I want to bring to your mind. And that goes along with intensity as well. If you're working like 80 plus hours a week, or even a little less than that, and you're just burned out and your energy isn't there, don't shame yourself for not being at your highest level of performance in the gym. It just makes sense. You only have enough energy in a day. You don't get extra energy, right? You have an allotted portion of energy, which I'm going to talk more about later, and you choose how you spend that energy. So if you're, very successful in your job and you've given a lot of energy to your career, don't stress yourself about that. Kudos to you. Just find a routine that works for you. So, and just know that, you're swapping some of that energy, right? I know people that are barely getting by, who are living paycheck to paycheck, and I see them at the gym for 3 hours a day. And I'm not judging them. I'm just saying it's an energy exchange, right? They spend a lot of time in the gym, but that outweighs their productivity in other areas. So it's all about, where do you choose to put your energy? And this is a no judgment zone. So this is about what works for you. So a few ideas I'll throw out there are, one is get comfortable with getting up early. And you don't have to do all these, just listen, pick what you want, leave the rest. Get up early. This is actually going to help you with your productivity through the day. And you don't have to get up super, super early unless you're at work at like 5 a.m., but just get yourself a little activity in the morning. If not, some of you might have access to a gym on a lunch break. This is another example. Maybe you have 30 minutes for lunch and you say, okay, well, I could have some, snacks, like healthy snacks while I'm working. And then I could go get a workout, but it's only like 20 minutes I would get by the time I get in the gym. That's okay. Do it. Just do it. And then also at the end of the day, what you might notice is that it's hard to fall asleep if you train late in the day. So you might want to get into a routine with your training session where you wind down at the end of it. So I wouldn't do, like your heaviest set or do, a circuit to end your training where you're jacking your heart rate up. If I was you, I would do the hard work in the beginning and taper down so you kind of activate that parasympathetic nervous system by the time you're at the end of your workout and you have a calmer transition. And also look out for pre-workout because those have caffeine in them a lot of times. And the other thing I'm going to note, and this goes along with the second question that says how to train when you have a physically demanding job. Think about the activity you get in a day. The best example I like to use is I worked with a woman who worked in a bakery and she spent most of her day bending over these huge tubs and pulling large amounts of dough out of these tubs. So her back was pretty dang strong. However, she didn't get much of a leg workout and she hardly did any push movements. There were times where maybe she would lift a box and put it up on a shelf or something, but her back was plenty developed, but we had to bring up the other areas. So since she worked a lot, we didn't waste our time in the gym doing a bunch of back movements. In fact, I don't think I scheduled a single pull movement for upper body on her plan. We focused on legs and push movements, and we only scheduled that at first twice a week. So I believe she went on the weekends to start. So you see how you can still shape your body and tap into a physique that you love, even if it doesn't look like somebody else. So don't compare yourself to anyone else. There's always going to be someone that has it better, and there's always going to be someone that has it worse. So don't do the comparison game. But definitely think about strategy. This is something I love to work with women on. You want to take a look at your physique and your physical activity in the day, and you want to strategize your training. So don't spend a bunch of time in the gym doing stuff you don't need to do. Same goes for exercises. I will tell you, ladies, if you don't know what you're working, don't do it. Like, find out what exercise trains what muscle, and that way you're actually working on your shape and you're not working against yourself. I'm going to use this as an example, and I hope I don't hurt anyone's feelings, but unless you're training for some sort of sport specifically, if you're training to have a beautiful physique and maybe you want to have that small waist and, rounded legs, just a good, healthy, curved physique, you don't need to sit there and target obliques. And so a lot of times I'll see women, not a lot, but holding a weight and doing this number, and you're thickening up your obliques when you do that. It's a waste of time. You're working your obliques when you're standing, when you're doing your squats, anything stabilizing. So I say all that to say, know what you're working and just be very intentional. And I'm going to end with this on this question. Remember, anything is better than nothing. So you have to snap out of the all or nothing mentality if you're a really busy person when it comes to your training. Just do it. Like Michael Jordan says, just do it. Okay, then the next one. Oh, I love it. How to use rest/recovery days properly, including active rest days. So I'll kind of specify the difference between what active and just regular all-out rest days look like. And then this lady also said, especially in prep. So think about rest as being just as important as your training, because it is. When you train, you're breaking down your muscle tissue. You're actually damaging your muscle tissue. Might sound like a harsh word, but it's what we're doing. There's this fascia that covers the muscle and it's getting all tightened up and knotted. And you have to stretch and rest for those fibers to be lined up again and allow your muscle to grow. So think about it as it's like a net that encapsulates the muscle. And if you keep it tight, knotted up and, bound, you're not going to recover and you're not going to grow. You're not going to get bigger muscles if that's what you're going for. And even if you're not going for that, you're going to get tight. You're going to have injuries. So rest and recovery is super important. Keep it basic. Write this down if you have a hard time with this. Rest is just as important as training. So if you are not taking a rest day right now, start taking a rest day. A lot of us struggle with this because we love going to the gym. We love being on a schedule. And it can feel like we're almost doing something wrong when we take a rest day, but look at it as part of your training. Write it into your plan if it's not already there, because your body needs it. Think about what your body carries you through in a week of training, in a week of stress outside of training. It does a lot. So you're giving it a gift by allowing it to recover. And you're going to get stronger, because if you keep wearing yourself down, you're never going to recoup to where you can start pushing weight again or pushing towards your goals. You're just going to get worn down. So just remember that. It's very important. And active rest days mean that you get the blood flowing, but you're not breaking down muscle tissue. Go back to the example I told you about the fibers there. So you don't want to have an active rest day and continue to tear those muscles up. You just want to get blood flow. This can help with soreness. It can help with your mental state, because a lot of us struggle if we're not working out with our mental state. So can, clear your head, and it makes you feel like you're still on a schedule. It's good to move your body. Movement is medicine. So active recovery days are great. If you want to take one active recovery day a week and that be your rest day, that's okay. That's better than not taking rest at all. I would just recommend it being low intensity. Don't be climbing a Stairmaster or doing, sprints or, going balls to the walls on the elliptical. Take it easy. Just get outside too. It's so healthy. So yes, rest is important. Now, if you want to take a regular rest day, which I always recommend my clients do, you don't do anything except maybe some light stretching. Again, you don't want to punish yourself. It's not like you have to be a couch potato all day, but you do want to be off your feet. You want to just really let your parasympathetic nervous system run the show for that day, meaning that you want to be in a calm state that day. Maybe take some ashwagandha, make sure you don't skip your magnesium that day, still eat well, and let your body recover. It's so good for you. I always recommend do the things on your rest day that you always run out of time to do on your training days. It might be spending extra time with your kids, or it might be painting, it might be reading, all these things that we do put on the back burner because we have goals sometimes, right? Go and do those things. Enjoy that. Get your balance back in your life on your rest days. Hell, take your cheat meal on your rest day if you want to. If, you're giving yourself a refeed meal, which I recommend, unless you're deep in prep. So hopefully that helps, active rest compared to the traditional full rest day. Both are important. What I do personally is I have an active rest day and a full rest day. And I usually recommend that to my clients and write that into their plan. So just something to think about. And I love that question. So let's let that take us into the stretching. I told you that, especially if you're taking a day completely off of training, stretching is a great idea. So stretch all you want those days. You can stretch, you can foam roll, you can use the Theragun, you can do a low intensity yoga class. That would be a little more into active recovery though, I will say. Don't do a power yoga class on your rest days, but let your body heal, get a massage. And then I'm going to also talk about stretching around a workout. I'm going to give you some good hints for this. When you stretch before your workout, you're lengthening your muscle fibers. So instead of them being tight, you're pulling them, you're lengthening them. Then when you start your workout, if they're too stretched out, it can be hard to get strong contractions. Your mind-muscle connection might not be as good. So what you can do is stretch for maybe 5-10 minutes before you train, and use your warm-up sets in your training to really connect and warm up that muscle so you prevent injury, your mind-muscle connection is intact, and you get contractions a lot easier because your muscles aren't so lengthened. And then post-workout, that's when I would go to town with your stretching. Do it all. Take your time. You can stretch as long as you want afterwards. And also stretching before bedtime, you'll probably get a better night's sleep. Stretch on your days off, stretch away from your training. I'll say this, you can never do too much stretching as far as like the frequency, but if you're too intense with your stretching, you can hurt yourself. So it's not like you have to take a day off stretching or anything like that, But if you push yourself too far in the stretching, you'll do like I've done before and you could pull a muscle. I did that with my adductor. I was pushing it too hard, basically doing a split, which I really have no business doing, and Theragunning it that night. And I thought I was doing something good because I was feeling the pain and I knew that, pain is gain, but not so much when it comes to stretching at all times. Ease into it. Don't go all out from the beginning. All right, final question. Great one to end on. Tools for fighting through depression when it tells you you don't have the energy or desire to exercise at all. This one's close to my heart. I've been there, and I want to say first and foremost, remember this. Motivation follows action. You have to tell yourself that when you have no motivation. Trust me, even people that maybe don't feel depressed or haven't experienced that maybe to the degree as other people, they struggle with motivation a lot. The best performing athletes struggle with motivation, but they know that motivation follows action. So you're not going to be motivated most of the time. Know that. You got to put action into place. Now, as far as depression goes, I've struggled with this. I've gotten a diagnosis for it, and I'm trying not to compare mine to anyone else's. And at the end of the day, I see them as being a label, so that way professionals who work in fields like mental health to help people can help them better. So the trick for me is not to talk about it too much, not ignore it. You gotta process stuff, but don't give it too much power. Don't give it more power than you need to. And I get this from Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if you've ever listened or watched his stuff, but he's awesome. And he always talks about step back and be the observer of what's going on with your thoughts. Don't get swept away with them. Same thing with feelings. If you can get to the point where you step back and you almost watch your thoughts happen instead of being caught up in them, you will tap into so much more power than you have currently. And it's not that you're not experienced those or, you're trying to downplay them. You are recognizing them. It's actually the opposite. You're not trying to ignore them. So when these pop up again, say, I'm feeling sad, or I feel like I don't have energy. Give it a label and get the power away from it. And then what helps me personally, person that struggles with depression myself, is having a schedule and sticking to it no matter what. It sounds easy, but that's where we mess up. Is it's so easy when we're in a depressive episode to cancel plans or call out of work or skip a workout. But hear me say, it doesn't matter the quality that you show up in, the capacity you show up in, just show up. Just show up no matter what, because I guarantee you, when you do show up, you're going to feel better and you're going to begin to take that negative spiral and turn it the other way. So for example, maybe it's leg day, and I know that feeling when you don't want to get out of bed, when it's dark, you're looking through a very dark lens. The world feels dark. Don't worry about doing legs. Just go to the gym. Don't even think about what's coming ahead. Get in your car, go to the gym. If you want to just walk on the treadmill, walk on the treadmill. That's what I mean. Don't worry so much about what quality you're showing up in. Just show up. All right. And it's the same thing if you have a bad week. Just keep showing up. One bad moment doesn't have to turn into a bad hour. One bad hour doesn't have to turn into a bad day. One bad day doesn't have to turn into a bad week, and on and on. So just know you are not your feelings. You are not your thoughts. Those are separate from who you truly are. So you have more power over them than they can have over you. You just have to take that power and harness it. And I say this as someone, again, who has struggled with depression for a long time. So I promise you, I'm not just trying to paint, butterflies and rainbows. All right. Okay. So for next time, part 2, this is what's going to be coming up. We've got general nutrition help. We're going to hit some mindset points on, let's see, dealing with extra fluff in a building phase. This is a good one. Not a lot of people talk about this. Not getting caught up in negativity from others. Specific times for food, pre and post workout. Does it matter? We're going to talk about that. And then also we're going to talk about gut health. And especially if you struggle with chronic digestion issues or bowel issues, we're going to talk about maybe some basic nutrition concepts to combat that and to help you along. And then the last one is going to be, again, pre and post workout foods, but also how long do we cut? How long do we bulk? How do we know where our calories should be? We're going to cover all that in part 2. So be sure to like and subscribe if you got value from this so you do get notified. And again, if you're a woman and you're not in my Mind and Body Sculpting group on Facebook, get in there. We have so much fun and you will be inspired, I promise you. So until next time, take care. If no one's told you yet today, I love you and I mean it. See you next time.